What is up, YouTube? This is DBZ439 coming at you with a NAWCQ top 64 deck profile and its Swordsoul. I took this to Chicago last weekend and at Nats, and I got top 64. Topped the event, and as you can see, as the backdrop is the Water Enchantress playmat, so I did win that. So at the end of day 2, I had a 10-1 record, an X1 record, which netted me a the fifth seed after Swiss, so that was really good. But unfortunately, in Top Cut, I lose my first round, so I don't get any more prizing after that. It is what it is, but it's my first premier event top, so I've been really excited about it. And I want to share the deck list with you guys. But before I get into that, let me just share you my match breakdown. So round 1, I played ABC Punk Theorion. I won 2-0. Round 2, I played against Punk Theorion, and I won 2-1. Round 3, I played against Punk Adventure Synchro Eldlich, which is basically Triff's Eldlich pile build. I won 2-1. Round 4, I played Drytron. I won 2-0. Round 5, I played against Punk Adventure Synchro. I won 2-1. Round 6, I played against ABC Theorion. I won 2-0. Now, round 7 was a highlight because I actually played in the VIP section against Christian Urena. He was playing Punk Adventure Synchro, and I won 2-1. That was a really close game, and there was a specific card in the main deck that actually helped me win. And I'll mention that as we get into the actual deck profile. But that was round 7. Round 8, I played against Adventure Branded Despia. This is my only loss in Swiss. I lost 1-2. And also in Top Cut, I lost to another Despia deck. So both of my losses in the event were to Despia. And it's kind of ironic because apparently the Swordsoul Despia matchup is like a 6-4 in the Swordsoul favor. But, unfortunately I couldn't win. Again, both rounds were close against Despia. They went to game 3. Round 9, I played against Libromancer. I won 2-0. Round 10, I played against Punk Adventure Synchro. I won 2-1. And in the final round, which is also a huge highlight, I played against Jordan Nichols. He ended up getting first place after Swiss. And going into the final round, he was undefeated. And there was, 1,819 people in the main event. So he was undefeated going into the final round. And I was playing him at table 1. It wasn't streamed or a feature match, but, I ended up winning against him and giving him his only loss in Swiss. So that felt really great. One of the, highlights of the event, in my opinion. And then, like I said, in round 12, which is the first round of Top Cut, I ended up losing to Predaplant Despia 1-2. Again, that went down to the wire, but again, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I still topped, a nationals, and arguably one of the biggest nationals because all the invites across the years over the pandemic, those guys got invited to this event. So it was definitely one of the bigger nationals in Yu-Gi-Oh history. So with that said, I don't want to delay any longer. Let's get on to the deck profile, starting with the main deck. So we're going to start with the Swordsoul lineup, double Taia. Again, my build is super cookie cutter. There's nothing really to, explain. You guys probably seen this 100 times, but as the deck profile, progresses, I'll kind of mention like what cards came up in what round. So again, standard triple Mo Ye, just your 1-card starters, gets you to Chi-Chow. Chi-Chow helps you search, fixes your hand. Triple Longyuan helps you go into your Synchro 10 plays, helps you go into your big boss monsters, and burns your opponent, which is really relevant and helps you OTK essentially. And then last of the, you can say it's an honorary Swordsoul card, triple Incurable Ecclesia. Some people play 2, I play 3. I just think it's just, you just want to max out on the good names, and this is just more copies of Mo Ye or Taia, whichever one you need. Onto the Tenyi, triple Ashuna, helps special summon from deck, helps enable like Baxia lines, and just the whole Tenyi engine just helps you play without your normal, which baits so many negates. It's absolutely amazing. Triple Vishuda, really good going second. It's just like another interruption. Players have to respect it. Just bounces anything, front row, back row, what have you. So really strong. Next up, double Adhara. I'm only playing 2 because I'm not playing like the Hulk package. And if you're playing the Hulk package, I definitely recommend maxing on that. But I only played double Adhara for that reason, and the one Shthana because I am playing Circle. I was not playing Circle in my Fort Worth build, but I wanted to test it out for this event, and Circle did come up a lot. We'll get to Circle in the spell section, but for the hand traps, we have triple Nibiru. This was 100% correct in the main. I was talking to a lot of folks at my locals, and they were giving me the suggestion of playing Droll in the main, and then maybe siding the Nibiru. I think if you heard all the matches that I just said in the beginning of the video, most of them are combo decks, like Punk, Synchro, Adventure, and Nib. People argue that, Nib, you have to combine it with some other hand trap. Yeah, I agree, but, it's just so impactful, especially going into game 1. And you run 12 hand traps in the main, so, you're going to see... Ideally, you're going to see, Nib plus some other hand trap, which will make it that much more impactful. And you have no problem adding the Nib token with, Vishuda Bounce or Baxia Spin. Triple Ash, nothing much to say on Ash. Everyone knows Ash. Triple Veiler. This could have been Droll, but I was satisfied with Veiler. I just think it's more generic and just hits a lot more matchups. And it just combines really well with Nibiru. So I honestly would not change anything about the main deck. I think the main deck was really good for me all weekend. Onto the spells. Triple Emergence, basically the road of the deck. This card functioned as an Ash bait all the time. It was great. And no one drilled me on this, which was also great. Swordsoul is just so resilient, and the lines are so dependent on the hands you open. Sometimes Droll really kills you, sometimes it doesn't. This card baited so many Ashes over the event. It was great. Double Vessel and then double Circle. So let's talk about these two. In my opinion, Vessel is far, far superior. It helps if you open a good Tenyi besides Shthana plus Vessel. That's an automatic out to Token Collector or Nibiru, and that came up a lot. Being able to lock your opponent out of light effects, or just playing around Token Collector was really huge. Circle really came up in the final round, game 3 against Brandon Eldlich. In a simplified game state, he tried to Dogmatic Punishment my Taia on normal summon. Then I proceeded to Vessel Chain to essentially negate the Dogmatic Punishment, and I was also playing under Gozen Match, but I impermed in that column, so that really helped me play that turn. And then from there, once I resolved Longyuan, which I searched off the Circle, I just started using my Tenyi effects and Griff to clear the board, and I just proceed to game him from there. So I did. Circle is really strong. I just didn't see it as much as I wanted to, but it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so sometimes you see the Shthana when you don't want to. Again, you just pitch it off of Longyuan if it comes to that. To round with the spells, double Desires. Again, really standard, but this card helped me win against Christian Urena. Essentially, in Game 3, I opened double Desires, and I ended up resolving both of them. So I had 20 banished cards, and I proceeded to OTK him with Changing. But the beautiful part about it is when you resolve double Desires, the idea is you're probably going to banish all of your Mo Ye's or all of your one Blackout. But surprisingly enough, I didn't banish all of them. I just had one copy of each in my deck after resolving both, and it was just really crucial for cracking his board and winning the game. So double Desires definitely came up and won me that round. Onto the traps, we have triple Imperm. Nothing much to say here. Again, we are main decking 12 hand traps, and the Tenyi engine itself also just is so inherently strong going second. So 12 hand traps plus Tenyi just helps you break a lot of boards. Also, really, against Libromancer, they try to scythe lock me in the standby phase. Because in the side, I play Dark Ruler, which helps break the Hulk plus Dagda board. But Imperm helps you stop, Scythe in the standby, and it came up against Libromancer. So that's really good. It's a really good feature of Imperm. Last of the traps, one Blackout. Nothing much to say here. Pretty standard. Again, that is a 42-card deck, and the deck list will be in the description box below. Let's go on to the side deck. Triple Droll, again, I didn't opt to main it. I ended up siding it. This card would have come up against like Flunder, which I didn't fortunately run into, but it's just so good against Based and like Punk Theorion, Synchro. Essentially, they'll still try to end on Hulk Dagda, but at that point, I mean, it's still really impactful. And then for Hulk Dagda in particular, you want to hit it with Dark Ruler No More. They can't respond to it unless they set up, Hot Red plus Basil Roshoot, which I didn't have to run into, thankfully. But yeah, that's the basically the theory of Dark Ruler. No droplets. Again, for the Scythe lock, which, was the majority of the event, to be frank. A lot of folks are just running the Hulk package with the Dagda. Scythe needs to get hit, to be honest, but on top of that, I really believe Mystic Mind should get hit. So, like, the gentleman that won the whole event, he was playing Swordsoul, but he was main decking Rivalry in addition to Mine. So hopefully Mine gets some hit. There's a chance that Swordsoul as a deck might get hit, and if they do, I don't imagine them banning anything. Maybe just limiting a few cards, maybe like Ashuna or Emergence. But outside of that, I mean, I really hope they don't hit Swordsoul. I really hope they hit like the cancer cards like Mystic Mind and Scythe. So again, Cosmic Cyclone. It has dual utility in terms of hitting back row and Scythe, so it's good against the combo decks as well as the back row decks. And this was a change that you'll see from my previous deck list. One Duster, one Callby, and the one Red. These three used to be triple evenly match. I just wanted to run more power 1-ofs. And to be quite honest with you, like these three, I sided them in. They never came up. They are 1-ofs, but in particular, in hindsight, I wish they were evenly matched. Again, just for the Despia matchup in particular, which kind of gave me a hard time. But, it is what it is. And moving forward, I might just keep it this way. These are just really impactful. Again, I just didn't have enough of a sample size to tell you how strong they actually are if I draw them, if I use them. Last of the side deck, triple anti-spell. Again, really standard at this point. In addition to Dim Barrier. I didn't opt to play Dim Barrier. I just wanted more cards going second, but anti-spell is sufficient. Like, you set up Chi-Chow, Sinister, anti-spell, couple of hand traps. I mean, you're golden. That's a really hard board to crack. So that is it for the side. Let's go on to the extra. For the level 10s, we have the one Chang'ing, really good going second. You trigger your Tenyi's Engrave, and then you can on resolution trigger Chang'ing to break boards. Really strong. Best card on the extra deck, Sinister Sovereign. I mean, this card is Drytron, but 100 times better. It doesn't target. It banishes. It's beefier. And it's just, and you don't have like detached material, so it's like always live. It always resets every turn. So this card is actually what makes this deck really strong in this particular format, because it's a one card out to like Punk Theorion. It outs the Brave Engine, and then like if they special like off of Etelli their Xiamen, that's a really good time to banish with Longyuan, because Xiamen doesn't trigger on summon. There's a lot of so Longyuan doesn't negate, it just banishes it. But if you do it on certain, activations, it'll effectively negate it. So it's just a really strong card. One misplay I've been doing all weekend was putting it in defense. I was afraid of Lightning Storm. I didn't see any Lightning Storm at all. So moving forward, I might just put it in attack. But there's a lot of instances where folks just jump over it. So just be aware of that. I lost a level 10s, one Barone. I never ended on Chi-Chow Barone. I always ended on Chi-Chow Sinister. That's the game plan. And then speaking of Chi-Chow, double Chi-Chow, again, really standard searches and negates as an imperm. One Berserker to out the token collector if you have the vessel line. This card, man, Drag Guide, I had to spend some time on this. This card helped me win the last game of the last round of Swiss against Jordan. It was insane. I mean, I was under Gozen match. He did it on Mo Ye's effect to summon token. And then my only option was to go into Drag Guide, which basically forces his other back row. But, I mean, like, obviously I draw off of Mo Ye, but it just applies a lot of pressure. And it was big, and like in the back row matchup, which came up, it put in so much work. And this card was my flex spot, and for it to come up in the last game of Swiss was just incredibly epic. This card basically won me that round. Onto the Yang Zings. One Chao Feng again. You do it if you have the Vessel line, which is really strong. And then to pair it with that, double Baxia. Basically, you just pop your monk. If you have a Tenyi and a Vessel, you just dump Ashuna, or if it's already engraved, you dump Adhara and add Vishuda. Just you go to the point where you have Adhara synchro with Vishuda. One of them is special from hand, one of them is special through Ashuna. You synchro into Baxia, and then Baxia pops the monk and targets the Adhara. You summon the Adhara, and then you sync it to Chao Feng. Obviously, this plays into Nibiru, but it actually baits Nibiru, because if they don't Nibiru at the point where you have Baxia plus Adhara, then you make Chao Feng, and then you just turn off all light hand traps, which is really good. Lots of the Yang Zings. One Yazi. This card came up once and it actually lost me the game. Ironically, I against Despia in round 8, which I lost. I tried to go for the OTK and I went through the Yazi route, and he ashed me on the Yazi effect engrave, and that basically I should have just went Barone beatdown at that point, but I just wanted to OTK him, and I ended up losing that game. For the links, triple monk again. I think it's pretty standard. Some people play 2, but for me, triple monk really comes up in the grind. And then the one shaman. This card came up also. There was times where people would jump over, like I said, my long one. And mid to late game, if you need to make it again, you just make this instead, and you just revive long one from grave, and it just applies a lot of pressure. Also, being able to pop cards while attacking with monk is pretty strong sometimes. Alright guys, that's it for the deck profile. I know it's kind of long, but again, I did top with it, so I wanted to spend a little bit extra time on my matchups and which cards came up in which situations. So again, I got this nice mat, and I won with Swordsoul. I got my premier top, so again, it's just a really great feeling, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So that's it for the deck profile. Let me know in the comments if you like the deck, if you would make some tweaks. I would really love to hear your guys' opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and have a nice day.